In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Why, hello there, Chadwick.
What's up, Frank?
Oh, just hanging out in your garage casually as one does. Talking about cars and nonsense. And do you have a beverage to open, sir?
I do.
I was thirsty. I opened mine already.
Mm-hmm. Feels so right.
Yeah, feels great, baby. So,
what are we doing this week, Frank?
currently we're drinking a fine Pilsner beer. And while drinking this fine Pilsner beer, it's not the champagne of beers. It's more like, would you call regular Miller Lite like the lemonade of beers, perhaps?
Ooh, the Diet Coke of beers.
Yeah, Diet Coke, Diet Lemonade, the Mike's Hard Lemonade of beers. And by that I mean it gets brought up on TCAP more to catch a predator more often than probably should be. But yeah, then so some people are drinking. We're drinking the lemonade of beer, the Mike's Hard Lemonade of beers.
Yeah,
there's lots of people that are drinking
garage water.
That are drinking Haterade.
Oh, cool.
Not necessarily Gatorade.
Frank, are you sipping on some Haterade?
I am a little bit. And I think a lot of people are sipping on Haterade. Not on us though. No, we're infallible. But
I'm a master of note taking in preparation for these podcasts.
Oh, preparation H.
Last night we shall call it preparation H. I couldn't come up with enough hate, man. I must have been in a good mood or something. I couldn't really. My notes are subpar.
Well, okay. Well, how about this? Let's start with this angle then. Like what cars that are out there? Cars, trucks, vehicles, whatever. What in the automotive world gets too much hate? Like there's cars that get hate, but what cars get too much? What do you think cars get too much?
Too much hate?
Too much hate. People bring too much haterade to the party, and some cars earn it. Some cars deserve it.
You ready for this one?
I'm ready, actually, for one.
Nissan Altima.
Okay.
Never mind. It's just the right amount of hate. I lied. That car deserves it.
My thing is, I think the cars themselves aren't too bad. It's merely the people that drive them.
You remember when the Altima
It's like the Raiders aren't necessarily so bad. Oh, the Raiders are terrible. But it's the Raiders fan
base.
No offense out there. I just put a bunch of Raiders fans on blast.
Black hole. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Better than the brown hole.
Well, debatable.
No way, dude. So remember the early Nissan Altimas? Really reliable.
The first gen, yeah.
And then
which replaced the Nissan Stanza,
which was a cool
underrated.
Car. Yeah, super cool car.
Mm-hmm.
They had performance variants of the Stanza in Japan, which were super cool. Like body kitted out. They look like little R32s.
Kind of.
I'll have to find an image. They were pretty cool. But what was the Altima with?
Well, they had was it Stagia?
Yeah, the Stagia or Stagia or whatever it was.
Exactly.
The Altima, what was the one with the first, with those kind of Euro taillights? That was the second gen, correct?
That was 2002 and later.
Yeah, through the mid.
Maybe 2003.
Yeah.
2002 or 2003.
And you could get a 2.5 with 160 horsepower, or a 3.5.
That was the QR25DE, I believe.
Yeah, and then they had the 3.5.
DQ. Yeah. Which was the DQ.
Those are good cars.
The good cars, you get the SER.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, the SER version and you can get that with a 6-speed manual.
It's a shame those 2.5s hate themselves. Because they didn't have a thing where they had
The SER had a 3.5 though.
The SER had a 3.5, but the 2.5 that was in that, the QR, was the base model in that, and also the big boy motor in the Sentra SER. Mm-hmm. And they had the cat was baked into the exhaust manifold,
kind of
and it would break apart and get sucked back in occasionally, and then eat the motor because you'd have cat material floating around your combustion chamber.
Not good.
Ungood.
I'm talking about all the mythos surrounding Ultima guy or the Ultima, the Ultima that comes flying up in the highway, and also
missing a bumper cover.
Yeah, the bumpers slapping on one side. Yeah. Brand new Ultima's not that great of a car, dude.
I don't know if I've been around a 20 and up Ultima.
You get a cloth interior that looks like something out of the 90s. That's kind of cool, I guess.
I mean, I'm team cloth interior generally. I don't know. I don't know enough about modern Ultima. Maybe that's me. Maybe I need to take a look in the mirror and be like, look, I need to be up on the modern Ultima more than I am.
So I was kind of just running with the joke there that the Ultima is the car you always see coming up on you, right?
What are the Ultima adjacent cars? So you've got the Ultima, but what else is I would say your X rental 2.7 liter base model Charger.
Yeah, that's right there.
In there. Chrysler 300 equivalent. What other, like, if you're most likely to be passed by a car that has significant body damage and is in poor repair, and the tags are 2 years out, and they're speeding and probably drinking, and a vape cloud comes out the window, and they're
Chevy Cruze.
Yeah, are those left? Are there any Cruzes left?
They stopped in 20 or 21?
I think before that, even. But I mean, I don't think they.
It's right there.
But like, I mean, are there left on the road?
That's what's funny is like you can buy. Look at my
Those are absolute
2018 Chevy Cruze. It's $3,000.
Yeah, and it's lost 80% of its value, more than that, 90% of its value in like
Can't figure out why.
less than half a decade. It's insanity.
Okay, but that's not too much hate. That's deserved hate. As far as too much hate. Legitimately answering your question this time, Frank.
Yeah,
The Prius.
Fair. I can see that.
It's so damn good. It's so damn good at what it does.
It's an incredible appliance.
It's a hybrid, so you don't have to do anything special. There's no special care instructions like you need to plug it in. You can get a plug-in Prius, but you don't have to on the standard one, right? It's a hybrid. It's gonna regen. It's got regenerative braking. It's got an Atkinson cycle engine and
that's why you like it.
That's why I like it. Yeah.
That's why you
Little
like it.
shout out.
Yeah.
Keep it in the family. If you can't keep it in your pants.
Or both, I suppose.
But no, it's put fuel in, no range anxiety, no charging, lives a long life, simple, easy.
You know the absolute worst thing that has happened, because I generally agree. It almost made my list. It's not in here. I almost put it, and then I decided I had too long of a list, so I axed it. But that car gets too much hate.
Too much hate.
For two reasons. Well, really one reason. It's kind of like the Altima gets the hate because of the owners. Is early days of Prius.
Right.
Was
Self-righteous.
not even a little bit of the self-righteous, but most, I say more the going 58 miles an hour in the passing lane at all times.
Fair.
And I think that's less self-righteous as it's just zero self-awareness.
You know what's funny is the opposite is usually the case. I see a Prius coming up.
Oh, now,
like
yeah.
90
Now that you can get one as a $5,500 used car and kick the snot out of it.
Yeah.
Now the script has been flipped, and it's no longer that the Prius in the fast lane. It's the going slow. It's the Prius in the passing you on the inside shoulder,
tailgating you.
Yeah, turning into with a coexist sticker that's like sun faded, and not the one like built out of weapons, like the actual like coexist bumper sticker. So there's that. They are, and what's cool of those cars is you can kick the absolute living snot out of it, and it kind of doesn't care.
It doesn't care.
And it will still like it's absolute. You can like left foot brake, right foot floorboard gas pedal around town all day, and you're still gonna get 39 miles a gallon.
It's wild.
They're crazy reliable. People used to be the worst thing with those cars. Is it used to be the worst thing was people worrying about the batteries. Oh, the battery life, it's gonna cost me so much, and the hybrid battery and So the thing with the Prius, the worst thing that happened to the Toyota Prius is the nation's fentanyl and meth epidemic. And by that I mean every single one of them gets its cat stolen. Just, it's happening now. Somewhere not so silently, someone's Prius is getting its cat.
Getting a sawzall.
Don't get that cash, and they're getting it. And so, which sucks for lots of reasons, socio-economical, just losing your Prius. It's a $5,000 car, so you don't have comprehensive coverage, and someone steals your catalytic converter here in California, it costs you $4,000 to get fixed.
Yep.
So that's the shitty thing about the Prius. But the design is super. In my mind, when I picture Prius, I picture the second-gen Prius. It's got a usable back seat, and they fold down, and it's just a good car. They're just a good car, and so they get a ton of hate, and like, it's very popular in the car world. It's like the most un-car person car.
Yep.
And so it's very easy to be like, only idiots drive a Prius, or we're never going to talk about Priuses. Priuses are trash, and so be it. I mean, they're not a fun thing to drive necessarily, other than the fact that you can just be unmerciful to it. and it doesn't care.
But you
and
know
there's
what?
a certain amount of fun with that, and it's got the little shifter that you can just like reverse drive,
so
reverse
cool.
drive. Little nub
Lexus
that
and
you flip
Toyota are
around.
switching to that, by the way.
Yes, as they should.
Versus
It's
the big
a
chunky
superior.
ass.
I think it's a superior design. And
It's
so,
super good. But also, dude, driving a Prius in the modern world, you're not driving a Tesla. You're not driving an electric car. Look at you.
That's true.
You standoffish traditional dude with your hybrid old world tech. So I think it's kind of cool, and they might come around, dude. We're driving an old Prii. I'm trying
to think like I think I've seen someone that's done a safari build with a Prius.
You could do the first gen.
Did you see where the guy mounted like the 20mm like flat cannon to like the roof of his Prius?
It was ridiculous.
You had
Yes,
that? Okay.
yes.
Like the first round goes off and all the glass blows out of it.
It's so
So yeah, there's some interesting mods people have done.
the new Prius looks cool.
We'll
Have you
see.
seen the
Yeah,
teaser photos? It looks great.
I'm hyped, so to speak. So I think that's interesting. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Toy Prius almost made my list.
Yeah. What do you got next for too much hate?
Well, you mentioned Tesla.
Oh boy.
I'm going to say, and bear with me here,
Maybe.
but the Tesla Model 3, like specifically like a dual motor performance.
Yeah. Not the one that was built in the parking lot.
No, certainly not that one.
There's a few.
There's a few. Teslas have gotten a bad rap by like automotive journalists and people at large. We're here in the San Francisco Bay Area, so there is, the California Camry, right? Like the Tesla sedans, whether it be an S or a Model 3, there's an overabundance of them, and so. There's a couple things. A, there's overabundance of them. They're initially, much like the Prius was a holier than thou. I drive a Tesla. You don't sort of factor
Not a car person.
to them.
Yeah.
Now that the whole EV thing is beyond in vogue, and a lot of the other offerings from other manufacturers were impossible to get. The one to get with no markup, no huge ADM on top was a Tesla, and so there's a lot of them. They're ubiquitous. And I think Haterade for them has gone up because yes, the fit and finish is kind of not acceptable. Also, the company themselves, like Tesla as a corporation, does really shady shit. You've got the FSD thing, the full self-driving that's kind of garbage and is not full self-driving. It's full self-driving in name only. And we like to drive, damn it.
Yeah, we do.
Not have something else drive for us. So that's not really in our lexicon. But and probably as every single day of the calendar goes by, their fearless leader and CEO finds a new exotic way to put his own foot in his mouth. And unless you're into that kind of thing, in which case no shame in that game.
No kink shaming.
Yeah, but there's a lot of reasons to hate on. And I picked that car specifically because it's like the kind of.
You think it's too much hate though?
On the car, yes.
Okay.
Because I think have you ever driven like any of the dual motor Teslas? Mm-hmm. So I've driven
I drove a Model S right when they came out too. Yeah.
So they drive pretty for what you spend in today's market, right? Like I don't. Sure. What's a new Model 3 dual motor performance right now? Like 60 something?
A lot more than they were when they first came out, yeah.
True, but let's say it's 65,
sure.
right? Like it's still 0 to 60 in like 3.3 or whatever.
That's fine.
No
one's doing that.
They are generally pretty reliable. They're not bulletproof. They're not
getting an
infallible.
accident and keep the same record.
Yeah, there's parts. As long as you keep it out of a ditch.
Good advice.
Which supply chain issues the last couple of years, you can say that about a lot of things. They have an incredible charging network if you need to actually go anywhere. I have a buddy who he would very frequently go between Bend, Oregon and here in the Bay Area, and he would just stop and get a cup of coffee for 30 minutes and fast charge. There's a large network, at least here in California, and up and down the West Coast. So I think, and I personally, and when I was making the list here of the who gets too much hate, I caught myself mentally giving Teslas kind of more hate than I think they probably, if I sit back and was honest with myself, it's like, bang for your buck, that car's still pretty fucking good. Like, it's fast, it's composed, it handles well enough. It's comfortable. It's got some cool tech features and this and that, and you can charge the thing. And if you have solar on your house, you're living high and mighty. It's just there's a carrot dangling above everyone's face of the fucking Elon Musk hate, which I get. I think it's a pile of garbage, but I'm not going to get political. And the weird shit that Tesla does with like parts infrastructure, and you have to take it to the Tesla store if you want to like replace the window switch for your window, like silly shit. Oh, I need a mirror cap. Sorry, we're not going to sell it to you. You have to have it repaired by us. Like just borderline deplorable stuff the business does. But the car itself, I think, because of all that nonsense, gets too much hate.
Okay.
And so I think there's a little bit too much haterade on that car, on the Tesla.
Fair enough.
You can disagree though. You can tell me
I'm indifferent. I think the bandwagon are jumping on anti-Tesla. I mean, we're old school analog car guys, so like they're fine. There wouldn't be if I was going to go full. I've owned an electric car before, and I've owned hybrids. I don't think I'd run out and buy a Tesla though. To me, like, so the design.
I wouldn't because of the other reasons though.
No,
not because of the car. I wouldn't because of
I don't like the
supply
design.
chain issues and the business and the overall styling. Which I think if you only saw 10, if there were only 10 in your entire town, I think the styling would be so. I don't like the styling, but at least it'd be, it's unique. Since they're everywhere, it's like, they're just ugly. You know what I mean?
So the design language of the 3 especially just looks phoned into me. It's like a car. It's a car.
Yeah,
it's serious.
Draw a car.
Like, and I'm still into like, I'm not a big, like, you see the shit boxes I drive, but I like unique looking shit boxes, and it just doesn't check that box for me. It's like,
I'm in no rush to go out and buy a Tesla.
Yeah.
But there's people that'll be like,
I'm on the fence. It's fine.
I'd rather be buried than be
also,
Tesla.
It's a lifestyle choice too, right? You have to be like set up for that. You have to have a commute that makes sense. You have to have potentially another car if you're going to do family, like, longer trips.
We each only own one car, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, how many?
But no, I get it. And then you know what's funny? I mentioned my buddy who was doing a commute up and down. Not commute, but he grew up here. All his family's down here. Same with his wife's, and they live up in Bend, so they come up and down all the time. And he was doing that in his Tesla. They just went and bought a 23 Denali, Yukon Denali with the 3.0 diesel.
Okay. Nice.
He said he got 31 miles a gallon in that thing coming down.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. All hot. He's using 75 miles an hour set cruise control. 31.
Probably has an amazing range too.
Oh, he said it's nearly 800 miles in range.
Yeah. Wow.
I think he said it's a 26 gallon tank.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's I think that car gets too much hate because of the stuff that's not necessarily the car's fault.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not going to buy one.
No, right, not like.
What do you think? What do you have anything else you think gets too much hate?
VQ powered cars. G35, 350Z.
You are just defending Nissan, man, today.
Got it.
It's behind us. Is that line?
I'm not a VQ at all, but because they are the butt of jokes, right? Like a car show, VQ car pulls up, cold revs.
Sure.
You know exactly. It's like. It's the shitty variety of owners that sometimes own these cars because they did get super cheap.
Did we just find a theme?
What's that?
We're like finding cars that like people hate, but not because of the car, but because of the owners.
Well, that's usually it, right? Like
a lot of times, yeah. A car all the time.
In a vacuum, a lot of times a car is a good car unless it like has some kind of horrible manufacturing defect that we overlook because we love it. And then in which case it's not too much hate. But with these cars, like you get these owners, right? Because these got impossibly cheap, right? Like you get a 350Z for like $3 or $4 grand. G35s are still $5 to $6 grand.
Yes.
For like an 04, 05 variety. So I think it's not the platform. I think both those cars.
I will say I have seen people do some really stupid shit lately, driving like G35s and G37s.
Oh, this isn't made up. I told you about the one with the flamethrower on the back of the G35 this morning.
Yeah.
On the highway, just like licking his bumper with flame. But also, like, everybody's had a neighbor that has like a 350Z that cold starts it, and the cold start tradition is revving it to like 7,000 RPM and just holding it there while the car like decides to eat itself. But yeah, it's super capable. Both of those cars, 350Z and G35, great engine. The VQ, maybe not the best sound, but is a very rock solid engine when maintained.
I think sometimes it can be okay. I think we're just used to like eBay exhausted versions of
it's how you usually hear it, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But with proper maintenance, it's a good engine, good performance. The car's out of the box with performers, right? You can take a 350Z and bring it out on a country road or up in the mountains and have a blast.
I mean, we're generally mildly slow shit. And that car's on the upper end of mildly slow.
Yeah, no,
So-
pretty quick.
I mean, that's what I mean.
Like, you get up to 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
But I think they get a huge bad rap, dude. You know it.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I think the worm is starting to turn on it though. I think they're
It's
they're
tough.
coming around a little bit. You know. That's
It's
really-
like a popular thing right now. It's like a recent thing where a VQ car shows up to car meet, everybody leaves, and he just revs in the parking lot.
He's got his welded diff and he just starts swinging.
God, dude, fully stock except for welded
Black
diff.
taillights. Yeah.
How about you? What do you think about the
Also-
VQ cars? What's your feel on those? They do get a lot of hate, right?
I still have a soft spot for like an 0304 G35 with a manual. A G35 with a sedan with a manual. I looked for one for a while. Before I had my
They're out
WRX, I looked for one.
You can't get them with the Brembo package though. Like the coupe had a sport package that came with Brembos
Yes.
and a 6-speed.
Those gold colored
Yeah.
Brembos with the red writing. Those were cool.
on a silver car.
I would, you know what? Remember last episode I was talking about a daily driver? Should I find
What
it?
a
Should I
great
find
daily.
Should I find an early G35 sedan or coupe?
Paint shit
with
the
a manual?
bed, seats shit the bed.
Yes.
Every case, both of
They had
those
those big wide front
leather
seats.
seats that they just like ripped apart and they got dried
I mean,
out.
they're not great cars, but
Dude,
they
look
of the
great.
era they're cool. And I think if I can find a sedan with a manual, that'd be cool. They don't get great gas mileage. It makes the noises.
I'd still
But
take
they're
a-
moderately reliable.
Yeah. That's a good daily.
I'm generally a fan. I think that would be a good day. Oh boy,
That would be
really boy. What would be picture this? What would be better? Call it an 06 G35 sedan with manual,
You're gonna say
or
the
06 Acura TL with a manual.
Oh. Rear wheel drive versus front wheel drive, my friend.
Yes.
Pick your poison.
If the TL was rear wheel drive, it would be TL all day. But
TL's got a better gearbox.
better gear. The shifter is going to be Honda Magic.
Yeah.
Because
Ages.
Honda shifters are undefeated.
Same as I had in that 6-speed Accord. Great.
See,
great.
that's what we're going to do when we're done here.
Dude, a G35, 6-speed,
Yeah.
4-door. God,
Even a
that's
coupe.
great
Even
car.
a coupe would be.
A coupe would be great, but the 4-door throwing
Yeah.
it in the back, and you have to get them after the facelift when the coupes or where the sedans actually looked good.
I like the
early
very
sedans.
first year. Both three had that. It had that weird like thing on the front of it,
No way.
and then they
No.
fixed it the year after. It was
Yeah.
03 only.
Much better.
Yeah, I can get down with the V. I can get down with the VQ. You know what would be another?
Probably a good deal too, bud. Like to find a
It's
4-to-1.
hard though. It's hard to find, and half the time you'll find one.
or less.
You're not going to find one $8,000 less. You're going to
that.
find one where it's going to be
Challenge.
180
I'm gonna find
180,000
one.
miles, and they're going to be asking 11.5 or something done. You know what's a car that gets a lot of hate? That's also a good daily driver, and you don't really see, and no one talks about it. It's so hated that it's like people don't even talk about it. It's forgotten about. People hated on it when it came out, and then
Sounds
nobody even thought about
controversial.
it. The BMW X2.
Man.
That,
Who hates it? I wouldn't even think about
when
it.
it came out, like, oh, BMW they're just making stupid crossovers now.
The
and
X1.
blah, blah, blah. That people like the X1. The early X1s were kind of dope. It was basically like a wagon with like an extra 1 inch of clearance, but you can get the NA 6-cylinder and the manual.
I just don't think about these cars. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. So here's the thing. X2. I have to look it up. This is how much
There's hate
because
for the
when they
X2.
came out. Well, here's the thing. When they came out, people hated on it, like, oh, it's ugly and it's dumb. And I was like, I think it actually looks kind of good. It had it's got the roundel up on the C pillar. It's a compact SUV, and they made like a sporty kind of compact
It's a 4-door,
SUV.
right?
It's a 4-door,
Which
it's
is
got
not
a big
right,
broad
too.
C pillar, and they launched it in like that like Phoenix yellow and a bunch of crazy bright colors.
Yeah,
and
that's
they
cool.
had it like the roundel and the big broad C pillar, almost like harkening back to like the E9 coupes, you know, like the 3.0 CSs and stuff. And people kind of, I remember at the time, people were like, oh, this is ugly and it's dumb, and BMW's lost their way. And I'm not going to argue that BMW hasn't lost their way, because I think in a lot of ways they have. That part is fine. People bitch about the car and it's garbage and whatever. I think it actually looks pretty okay, pretty good. I think it looks good. It's handsome. They made an M35i version.
Of course they
300 and something horsepower, turbo 4-cylinder. I looked it up. I found a 2019.
Sleep over here.
I know. Hold on. 2019 with 20. I made a note. 21,000 miles. Right. So basically a brand new car in that spec, the top spec.
How long's the warranty on that?
I don't know, but
Oh, never mind.
$33 grand.
No.
33. You can't buy anything with 20,000 miles and 300 horsepower, and that's actually put together.
There's a reason.
Yeah, you know how many they sold. You know how many they sold in 2020? Like 7,300.
Okay.
Of all trim levels, not just that trim level, all.
I bet you're getting
they
discounts.
Sold none of them.
You're getting dealer discounts.
None of them. Yeah, I think my understanding is it's like the same as like the Mini Countryman platform.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's probably pretty fun. I don't know. I've never driven one, but that car got hated into the grave initially, and then nobody has it's literally so far off the radar that they didn't even sell 10,000 compact crossovers in 2020.
Or 20. That's all we buy.
2020,
right?
Well, no, but that's all America buys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it sells 7,400 or whatever it was. What else? You got anything else?
I don't know about the hate in this, but I know you're probably going to bring up BMW's beaver teeth grills. I'm surprised.
It doesn't have that though.
No, but I'm surprised you're not.
That's why this car does. That's one more knock and why it doesn't suck ass.
I'm talking your other entry for hated cars that don't deserve it.
No, I have a couple. I'll rattle. Do you have any more? Or?
I don't.
Okay, well I'll just rattle off a couple that I had here. Early Escalades. Early
Those
GMT. Not early. Not like the GMT 400 one they only made for a couple of years. But
the mainstream one where they blew up.
Yeah, the GMT 800 one, which would have been 2002 and later.
Right.
Or maybe 2001 and later. So they made a short wheelbase one. The short wheelbase one is the one to get because it's got a 6-liter. It had the big 6-liter motor and the short wheelbase. You can actually park it. They're stone ass reliable. Full-time 4-wheel drive, so you're gonna get 6 miles a gallon. But
right.
But they're actually good cars.
No one hates those. Those are insanely.
Let's say they're polarizing.
Okay.
Because a lot of people were like, "This is the shit, and I will pay all the money for it, and I'm gonna put 28-inch fucking Spreewell spinners on it."
Of course you did.
And underglow, or that thing's a pile of garbage. I hate that thing.
Okay.
That is the people that I don't like own those cars, or whatever people's misguided opinions on them are.
Sure.
All that's bullshit. They're a good car.
Okay.
They're ridiculously reliable. They're put together well. Those GMT 800 trucks and Suburbans are good. That one gets more hate than it deserves. NSX, the new NSX.
It's a good car. It's fast.
It's a good car. It's still fast. Fuck you. It's good.
They missed the mark though, dude.
Fair.
Here's the thing.
The first NSX never existed.
You can't say that.
But hold on.
That's a bad.
In a vacuum.
I'm not gonna
the car in a vacuum.
I don't want to belong.
The car in a vacuum is very good.
I don't like
shit on it. It gets too much hate. We're through the looking glass of the multiverse. A base C5. Nobody cares about the base C5. Everyone's all horny for the Z06, and you can get a base C5, which is still a genuinely fast car, and you can make it even faster for no money.
I don't think they're hated though, dude. Yeah. New WRX.
Here's the thing. Everyone.
Here it is.
And you just said it with your cross-track comment.
Did I?
You did. The new WRX, people hate on the new WRX because it's ugly. Every single time a new WRX comes out, whether it be the Bug Eye, or the Blob Eye, or the Hawk Eye, or the... Is there even a cute nickname?
Stink Eye.
The Brown Eye? Is that the 2008 when it went to the roundy one that everyone shat on and was like, oh, it's not aggressive enough. Like every time a new WRX comes out, people think it's ugly. Full stop. Maybe not the last generation one, which was just fine. It was just Monster Energy in a body styling, but
the last gen was good. It was pretty staid.
Yeah, exactly. But
it looks more like a GC. They kind of like.
So the new one, it's like, oh, it's ugly, and I think it's in some angles it looks totally. I think it looks kind of good. In a lot of angles, it does look kind of. Mostly, if you got rid of the weird squared offness of the wheel arch moldings, I think it would be fine.
The moldings are weird on the wheels. I think that's a weird touch. I think, and I'm a huge plastic cladding fan. You know me.
So am I.
Just on modern cars, I think it's a cheap way out. And also, the taillights look exactly like Honda Civic.
Yeah, but they're not bad. They're okay. They're not bad. I think it's less ugly.
For being
I think it's less ugly than some other WRXs that have come out. Like when the 08 launched, it's less ugly than the 08.
The 08 hatch or sedan?
Either.
No, the hatches were cool.
They're so boring looking. Way more boring than this new one. And I think
The hatches were way better
The
than
other
sedans.
reason, because by all accounts, I haven't driven one, but by all accounts, they drive very well.
They have to, right? They didn't make
They drive
worse.
and the motor's better. The inputs are good.
What is it?
does well.
2.4 turbo?
It's a 2.4 turbo. And the other reason people shit on it is the numbers aren't that much crazier than any of the previous ones.
No.
But that's a WRX tradition. Like it's gained 30 horsepower in 20 years.
Yeah, 227 was the first one we got here in the States.
Yeah, and now it's up to 260. Was it 260
something?
Yeah. So okay,
It's like 40 ponies.
40 whole horsepower. in
Got
20
closer
years.
to the STI, that gap shrank.
Yeah, so it's gained 2 horsepower a year, effectively. And so on paper, it's and that they killed off the STI. If they didn't kill off the STI, if they made an STI version, all would have been forgiven. But they didn't.
WRX all day over that new one.
Oh, I'm on board with that. I owned one. I loved it. It was great.
Same.
But the new one gets too much hate. It's a good car. Allegedly, I haven't driven one, but no one complains about how it drives.
No, but
I think it gets too much hate. I think people freak out about its appearance and the fact that there's no STI and the fact that on paper it's not putting us as many. The number is. I don't know. STI, I think it gets too much hate. Sorry, the lack of an STI.
lack of
gets too
STI
much
definitely
hate.
deserves
The
that hate.
new 2022-2023 WRX.
Okay,
Too much hate, bro.
cool.
What do you? Is
We
there
need to
anything?
go to not enough hate.
I was gonna say, is there anything that ain't getting enough hate?
Entry-level luxury cars.
Ooh.
And
So
here's
like
my
entry
case.
level of like real manufacturers, or like
Right.
put Buick on your list.
No, wait for that. So people that brag about buying a luxury car, they don't call it. They don't go, dude, check out my new C250. They say, check out my Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
So the reason, like a base model Mercedes,
Like
which I think is like
A220.
a CLA now, 250.
I think it's front drive. Doesn't they have the A class now?
Yeah,
They
it's
have
right.
CLA and A class.
Which is front
And
wheel
CLA
drive.
is like you spend like $400 extra and it's round here. It's like the only difference.
Right. So these traditionally less features than their Japanese counterparts. Sometimes less performance as well, and a whole bunch of badge worshipping.
Yeah.
So I put that they don't get enough hate. I mean, have you ever heard anyone come up to you and say, "Check out my BMW 328"?
Or what's the new? What is that? The new base? The new
I don't
base
know.
front wheel drive one?
I just made that up.
I think it,
No, it's
no,
like
it's a 228.
228.
The 228. The front wheel drive. It's got like the light bar rear end.
No, they say check out my new BMW.
Yeah, check my new Beamer, bro.
So that's something.
One right on my bed.
Congrats for following that badge. I'm not saying Mercedes and BMW. I've owned both.
Why are you hating on the Maserati Ghibli so hard?
Right. Wait till it's used, then it's an actual deal.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like to brag about a base level car, you took, I don't know why you bought, other than the fact, and it's the people that bought it because of the badge.
Right.
Let's be
Yep.
honest. So that's mine, dude. Not enough hate for those cars. If you introduce your car by its make instead of its model, there's a sign right there probably.
I'm trying to think like what the least likely. Hey, come check out my Chevy. It was like a Corvette.
Would you introduce like a Z32 twin turbo 300ZX as that? Look at my Nissan.
Let's just say Corvette's like the ultimate, right? Like nobody ever says, "Look, check out my Chevy."
Right.
Look at my Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Look at my Chevrolet.
I'll do that with the
It's
Zero.
Corvette, right? Like it's. Yeah, I mean, you'd say Lambo, you'd say Ferrari, you'd say when I get my Aston Martin DB7
Yeah, but
daily, I'd say, "Come check out my Aston." You want to take the Aston?
if you have an E63 AMG, do you go check out my Mercedes? No, you say check out my E63.
If I owned an I-Pace, I'd be like, "Here's my Jaguar," you know, like it would be very very similar. And I think that's a good point. It's just like when does a model jump the shark? It's like when you never, it's like you're not even allowed to say its name, or people don't even know its name.
And it could be a fine car. I mean, in most accounts, there probably are fine cars, but it's just the people that buy it because of the badge, and then they continue to carry on. Like, check out my Mercedes.
Yeah.
That's mine.
I'm trying to come up with a good hot take one. You know what's a good hot take one? I think. Oh, hot take over.
Coming in hot.
The OG Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
You're saying not enough hate?
It doesn't get enough hate.
You think it deserves more?
I think that is, and here's the thing. I kind of like them a little bit.
attractive.
Well, if they never made that, because really the only one, when you say Jeep Grand Wagoneer, that people are only mentally picturing like 85 and newer.
Right, like Breaking Bad.
With the, usually in dark blue with the wood paneling. If they never produced that car in wood paneling, let's say that the wood paneling was never an option on that car. It would be too heavy, underpowered, terrible fuel economy, not terribly reliable, a literal dinosaur on the road, and it would not have any sort of following right now. Now, like, there's people that are almost doing like straight up like icon off-road builds and selling them for $100 and something thousand.
The nameplate came back too, right?
It became so kitschy and popular because it was in like, I don't know, a freaking. What was the commercial they did a few years ago where they're like, people are driving in and it's like a Christmas commercial and they're like having a picnic and they're like.
Well, Breaking Bad, the wife had one.
True. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a bunch of stuff where it's like, oh my god, this is really hot, desirable car. Like, and they're fine, they're okay, but like, if that never came with wood paneling, they built that what was the first year? 62, 63?
Yeah, right there.
I think the early ones are the one to have, but nobody likes those. Nobody held on to those. It's all the late run where it was long in the tooth, and it was carbureted and way too long, and they're okay, but it's not that different than just a Suburban. Go get a square body Suburban for pennies on the dollar compared to a Wagoneer.
Have you seen the interior of the Wagoneer though? It's like
the brand new one.
Yeah, it's pretty gorgeous.
They have the one too where you can get like, can't you get a whole other where the whole passenger dashboard is a screen?
Yeah, it's wide.
There's a middle screen and then
it's just like.
But you see like between the vents over there on the passenger side, you can get an option that whole section is also a screen.
Yeah, and all the little speakers are just like it's gorgeous.
But think about how like. The OG Grand Wagoneer got so popular for a minute that they brought the nameplate back, and it's not that nice. It's I don't know. It wasn't also ran in period.
Yeah,
and it's still like I don't think it's gained that much to earn it. It's appreciation today.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the hot take of I think it doesn't get enough hate. Like it's there. It deserves more hate. Damn it! Instead of all this overflowing of love, what do you think? What you got? Anything else that should get more hate?
I picked more like a general automotive theme, I guess. Is big trucks with car tires and wheels.
Like modern or people that like they lift their 4Runner.
Both. I've seen some pretty modern cars with like swapped out, like SUVs swapped out with like very low profile tire.
Like 80 treadwear like
or the thing you do if you have like a Tacoma or like not usually a Tacoma, like maybe a Silverado, and you can afford proper wide wheels. What do, my friend? Spacers.
Space baby.
Yeah, so you pull up behind them and they have like a 235 and it's on spacers, but the whole tire's out.
You know what's right in that same line of fire?
Oh boy.
I'm gonna add it to the mix. I don't have it on my list, I just stream of consciousness here. These get an enormous amount of hate. And they need to get even more. It's like the Carolina squat, like Brodozer.
You hate those.
It's just genuinely.
Well, sometimes they're rocking this look.
Insulting.
Sometimes they're rocking this look with the offset tires that are like
exactly. Like 6.5 inches past the bed size, and it's like fully stretched like mud terrains that are wore down to the wear bars, and like on these chrome wheels, and they're blasting Florida Georgia line out of the with their basketball hoop.
Tell me it doesn't look
tailpipe and there's a race shop pit bull chained up in the back.
Tell me it doesn't look atrocious with a Silverado, a lot of chrome, and these car wheels.
Yes.
Like maybe 18s, maybe 16s.
Oh, maybe.
With like a 35 series tire.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I don't get it. That needs more hate. Like, how is that okay? Just spring truck.
It isn't. It isn't.
It's an optical illusion.
I don't know.
I had to get that out. That needs more hate. It's not right to do that to a truck. And then off-road, you lost it. You cannot take that tire off-road.
You cannot just never, the mall parking lot is the most off the road that you're going to get. Like, it's just, I
told you I didn't have a lot of Haterade, dude. I couldn't.
I've got a couple that I need to throw some shade at.
Let's get it. Dump it out, baby.
The new EV Hummer.
Oh, that's so cool.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Remember when the H2 came out?
Silverado, correct? We were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah, and what's the new one? Is it the same as like the Silverado EV?
No, it's not.
It's not. It's a little different. But what I'm getting at is the point I'm trying to make. Is
I do what I just said.
When the H2 came out, it was oh my god, it's so cool, and look how capable it is, and wow, it's out there, and it makes it stamped, and its presence is known, and ba 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 ba. This is going to be, give it 10 to 12 years, the new EV Hummer is going to suffer the exact same fate of the H2, which is it's too big, it's too heavy, It's too gaudy in its styling. It's way over the top. It's too douchey.
It's not though.
Here's the thing. I'm going back to the owners of the people that are going to buy it.
This is a technological.
Put truck nuts on it.
This is a This is a technological platform. It's a technological platform.
Just like
it's not going to be a big market share of anything.
Sure.
It has cool tech on it. It's showing what they can do, what GM can do.
Okay.
It's like nearly 10,000 pounds and can out-accelerate most, if not all, sports cars are going to beat on the road today.
Yeah, when the H2 came out, that had
no way. The H2 was no way, dude. Go back and look at the acceleration test on the H2. An H2 was what you got if you couldn't swing an H1. If you were batting with a
H1 is even worse.
The H1's the real deal. It's the closest to the military Humvee.
I know, but you have to fucking live with that. You know how unlivable that is?
The Governator did it.
Well, the Governator's got his own problems with his like Guatemalan son.
Try fucking your maid in an H2, dude. It ain't gonna happen.
That's true. Can it be in? Can it be on? Well, I guess if it's the H2T with like the unusable like
timeout,
like 14-inch pickup.
The H2 was like not big enough. The new one's great. H3. Which one was that again? That was based.
That's based on the Colorado.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a joke. It was like all chrome and weird accent, and if you squinted, it looked like a Hummer.
I don't know, but at least it's a reasonable size. This new one is so fucking ridiculously big. I think it's when those batteries start aging out.
Doesn't matter
on those, and you can't replace it.
Dude,
and battery tech comes out.
Go buy a Model S that's 12 years old right now.
You can't.
It's the same story, dude.
But what I'm saying, but you're testing a bespoke, low production.
Thank you.
Fucking Hummer. Yeah, go replace the battery in that. And the battery tech is going to be.
Who cares? You're going to sell it in like 6 months for a profit anyway. But
if you sell it in 6 months, you're going to be okay. If you buy it and sell it in 6 months, if you buy it and sell it in 10 years, you're doomed.
Show me that sweet Model 3 crab walking.
How? Okay, you buy it, you do that once or twice to show your friends, and then it never gets used.
It's still cool.
Ever
it's
again.
Still cool, my friend.
That's the rear gull wings of the Model X party trick that you fucking never that you hate 10 hours after you buy the vehicle. I think that.
Or they fail and they're stuck up or so stuck like halfway.
You see that video of the guy like mobbing down the street and he with the one up and it like maxed the city bus?
I think it was stuck. It was stuck though, yeah. I think that's
just like mob down the road, like not. It's
Hummer's cool.
No, it's not. It sucks. You got any other 8, or do you want me to throw another?
That's it.
Let me just do one quick one. Every McLaren. Every new McLaren.
Good thing you said new because the McLaren F1's my favorite.
But every new McLaren, they're all the same.
Deserve more hate?
Yeah,
dude, they're so capable.
They are, but like if you want supercar flashy, they're not flashy enough.
They're pretty flashy.
Some of them are, but they're all the same. Can you tell the difference between a 675 and a 720?
Sure.
And a 570.
If you line them up
and a GT
and do a drag race, I can tell you.
Well, sure, but like if you see one on the street, like, oh, look at that McLaren.
Or a P1. Or a P11.
Or a P1. Oh, yeah, I mean, there's some of them like a Speed Tail and a Senna. Those are impossibly cool, and that's fine. But like, if you're a random tech bro, like going out and buying stuff, like, don't do that. If you want to be anonymous and have performance, buy a spec'd out 911.
How many people?
If you want to be flashy, buy a Lambo, buy a Ferrari. How many? Have the V-sale. It'll work. It won't break down.
On that
note,
windshields
won't break.
Anonymous. How many people that are members of Anonymous have McLarens? Probably not many.
Anonymous? I don't know. I mean, whoa, we're wiggling. I don't know. So, I think it's about that time. Will you cue us up, sir?
I will. So, Frank is going to go ahead and read an automotive print ad that is from a publication, usually a magazine from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. It's an automotive advertisement. So, he's going to read that, omitting the obvious stuff. I, as the guessee, get to guess what he's trying to describe to me. I get 3 guesses. I get stuck. I ask for hints. I have 10 minutes on the clock. That begins once you get through the ad. Frank, lay it on me.
This is a 2-pager, my friend. Ooh. It's a not quite a full spread, but it's 2 pages. The top 2/3 are the vehicle in question, clad in white. It is taking a turn. You can see there's a little S bend behind it, as if it just went through. It appears to be about sunset, perhaps sunrise. I don't know the inclination, declination of where the vehicle is. And it is taking this turn. The headlights are on.
Oh.
Upper right-hand corner, it just says Hummingbird. Okay, and then there's scripts at the bottom. Luckily enough for you, there's a fair amount of technical specifications in here, so for you to work with here. Its energy is supplied by a 210 SAE net horsepower, 3.8 liter V6 supercharged, linked to a 5-speed manual transmission. Precise control is enhanced by stabilizer bars, variable rate springs, tension struts, and an isolated subframe. Just add a twisty road and you've got all the ingredients to make your blank really hum. Technology is the key to this sophisticated coupe's combination of high performance and drivability. Power rack and pinion steering adjusts to your speed for optimal road feel. An automatic ride control suspension that allows you to adjust performance and comfort parameters. Not to mention 4-wheel anti-lock disc brakes. And that's just a sampling of Blank's engineering advances. Blank's interior is aptly suited to its performance. Articulated sport seats with power adjustable lumbar support and side bolsters securely place you in front of its analog instrument cluster. Optional leather seating surfaces provide added style. Technology, performance, and style make Blank a true hummingbird. Blank, best built American cars, 10 years running.
No!
This is based on an average of Consumer Reports, problems in a series of surveys, all blank and competitive 1981 to 1990 models, designated to be built in North America. At blank.
Can I get that again? Blank? Copy that.
Would you like the specification? It does have a little thing of specifications.
Yes,
I pretty much just named them, but I will reiterate them because they are here. Supercharged, sequential electronic fuel injection, 3.8 liters, V6, 210 SAE net horsepower at 4,000 RPM, 315 pound-foot of torque at 2,600 RPM, 5-speed manual overdrive transmission, brakes, 4-wheel, anti-lock discs, steering, speed-sensitive variable assist, power rack and pinion, tires, Goodyear Performance tires, P225 60 ZR16 97 V rated. Suspension, 4-wheel independent automatic ride control.
Okay.
Sir,
Jesus, man. Let's start the 10-minute timer here.
let's start our timer. You've got a lot to chew on, I think.
It's weird. 5-speed manual.
5-speed manual.
That's where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Because I thought 3.8 supercharged. I'm like, man, we're talking GM.
Yeah.
We have to be.
Right?
That engine never came with a manual transmission.
At any time, huh?
Sucks. So I'm stumped there because I want to go, of course, Bonneville. But the 210 horsepower didn't make sense either because I think it went from, mine was like 205 and then it went to 220.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then 240 in its final iteration.
240.
God, they should have thrown a manual in there, huh? Yeah. 3.8. And then I started thinking like, not supercharged. I thought like Grand Nationals and things like that had V6s with turbos.
Never had a manual though, right?
Never had a manual.
Yeah.
Again. Shot down with the manual, please. Yeah. So 3.8 liter supercharged. That's where I'm getting stuck, man. I didn't mention door count, I don't think. Did I miss that? Where
It did say. This is good. Listening for the people on the other end of this.
Because I think it was a sedan?
Technology is the key to the sophisticated coupes. Coupe combination of high performance and drivability.
This is going to be something weird, isn't it? 3.8 supercharged manual. Coupe. And it said something about a hummingbird.
Hummingbird.
And we're definitely in the early 90s, if not 1990. Let's take a shot at this. I'm pretty sure this came with a V6. Pretty sure it came with a supercharger, and I think you could get a manual, even though these are impossible to find today, if I'm thinking of the right car.
Could be.
Are we thinking of a Ford Thunderbird? I believe it was a Super Coupe for the model bonus.
where it says hummingbird in the upper right-hand corner, there's a space. It's humming, space, bird.
Okay.
Just add Twisty Road, and you've got all the ingredients to make your Ford Thunderbird SC really hum. It is the Ford Thunderbird SC, which it was a portmanteau when it's like well, it's double entendre, I guess. It's SC is for supercharged, but also for super coupe. We call it the super coupe.
Yep, that's what I call it.
You got the SC embossed in the front.
That's right, in the
front bumper.
plastic, which was a cool
And in the plastic, yeah. And in the, I believe, was it the back? Was it the rear bump, the face of the rear bumper?
Thunderbird.
Did it say Thunderbird or was it Super Coupe?
I think it said Thunderbird across the bumper.
Oh, boy,
we'll Google that. But what a great ad. What a cool car, too.
It is. Yeah, good luck finding one of those.
In a manual?
Good. And I think I remember, like, they had a special steering wheel that had, like, SC embossed on the face of the steering wheel.
Oh, yeah, they put I think there's a little badge on the dash of the passenger side.
Yeah.
What a great looking car, too. Ooh, look how smooth.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow.
Gotta find me a Super Coupe.
Oh, I'd take one of those in a heartbeat, man.
Interiors are, they're okay.
Yeah, they didn't hold up too well, but you can get it with a manual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the one to get. If you're gonna get that generation, the last real generation of Thunderbird.
I forgot Ford had that 3.8. Didn't use it a lot, but that was one.
Yeah, I think it's just the Essex 3.8 6-cylinder, but then supercharged. I suppose was this the only application?
I want to say yeah.
There's no Mercury or Lincoln edition, I don't think.
No.
What? Could you get that in a Cougar? I think you could get an XR. You could get an XR7 Cougar.
Yeah.
With this.
With an automatic.
I don't think you can get
the manual.
Should that be it? Should I try and find a supercharged?
I mean, we should try
supercharged XR7.
That was what was tripping me up. I couldn't remember the 5-speed manual, but
yeah.
Apparently, I got there.
Yeah. You did it.
First time go. We know fucking weird cars, dude.
Speaking of fucking with weird cars,
yeah.
What have you been working on? What's been up your alley?
300ZX, right?
Yeah.
Been putting in some work for that. You get under a car, 200,000 miles, you're gonna find worn out suspension stuff. So I wasn't too surprised to see like the absolute outer tie rod mess with grease everywhere. That's what you're gonna get, right? No one fixes that shit on time. So replaced both outer tie rods and did the boots. The boots were coming apart on the steering rack. No leaks on the steering rack. It's just the boot wore down with time, which it will do. So replacing those, just pull the outer tie rod off, and you have to put the new boot in. Outer tie rods don't come off very easy sometimes, though. So it took a pickle fork in the fuck out of it. My hands are just like destroyed because they're like holding that pickle fork.
I hate pickle forks.
They get the job done though.
Do you have the little like crank-on separator?
No, I just
like a separator where you can hit it with like an air ratchet or something.
No, I still use just this traditional pickle fork I use it for tie rods and ball joints.
Yeah, I mean if you're gonna replace that stuff, then it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
But if you're taking it apart and you don't want to kill it, then you got to get the other stuff.
But still, you see guys like slam on the top of the bolt with like a hammer and it bends inside the knuckle, and then you're F, like you're buying a new hub assembly and everything. So be careful with that. But pickle fork gets it done. Brakes.
Plus, maybe is it the most fun name in all of automotive tools?
It's pretty fun. Yeah,
you just gotta fork your pickle.
Yeah, you gotta pickle it up. But yeah, brakes also. So discs. So it's 4-wheel disc, so all rotors, all pads, about to do the fluid. It already had stainless steel lines on the 300ZX twin turbo, so
sweet.
Someone hooked it up before, so brakes are going to be good.
Cool.
And tires are coming in. Yokohama A005 or A052s, which is a very aggressive 200 tread wear. But the only tire you can find, so people mix match brand names because the rear tire is a 245. I think it's like a 245/45 16, which runs on nothing. Yeah. So those were the only ones. They are very pricey, my friend.
Are the same? Are you mixing matching?
No. Mine's all A052s, and they're matching. You know, I can't do that, dude.
I know.
Especially on a car like this, where it's like an icon. You can't really. I can't take shortcuts on this. So, good brakes, good tires. This thing's gonna rip, dude.
Be good.
But that's what I've been working on, man. 300ZX. How about you?
Oh boy.
CP.
I've been. It's been slow going. So I've been working a little bit on doing a little bit of homework on the potential. We're into the new year already, and I'm already looking at potentially buying a car. I know I mentioned it before, but the NA 924.
Yes.
So, on behalf of the guys at Car Donation, I was getting, because it came in with no keys. Little lady lost keys.
Yeah.
So, went to Porsche, had them order it. They ordered keys. They're like, oh, it's going to be like, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks. And that was about 4 to 6 weeks ago. So I hadn't heard anything, so I called them and said, hey, what are they? Like, oh yeah, we got them back in November. I was like, that's like when I ordered them was back in November.
What the hell?
They're like, yeah, well, they're here. Come get them. I was like, okay. Whatever, not gonna argue with it. They're there. That's
Hold it for a couple
ultimately,
months.
yeah. And they said they'd call me when they came in. And well, I never got a call, so I just called them. Like, oh, yep, they're here. Okay. You go down there. Wait. They come back. Yeah, we don't have them. It's like, well, our system says it's here, but we can't find them
Because they've been there for 2 months.
I was like, okay, well, or they just it says they were there in the system and they never actually showed up. Because they have to come from Germany. They cut them in Germany by VIN, and then they mail them in. That's why it took so long.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
That makes sense.
So, fine. They're like, okay, well, we'll reorder them, and we'll just mail them directly to you. He's like, well, we'll look for one day. The guy who you ordered it with isn't here today. He'll be here tomorrow. We'll ask him about it. If he's seen them, great. We'll call you. If not, I'll call you either way. We'll order them again, reorder them. We'll have them mailed to you. Okay, cool. And then that's been like 5 days. I haven't heard anything back.
Oh boy.
So who knows? In the meantime,
Yeah.
I placed a call to the shop that last worked on the car. And so I call them.
Get the skinny, if you will.
Yeah. And I say, hey, car was donated. This is the thing. Trying to track down service records on it. And they're like, oh, so and so's car. Like I just started talking about it, and they knew the car. Like
That's awesome.
I didn't say anything like we'll call her Betty. Oh, Betty's car. Oh yeah, it's Betty's car. Like okay, like well, they're like yeah, it kind of needs a lot of work. So, oh really? I'm just talking to the gal on the front desk. And she's like yeah, the I guess it's like the niece or the daughter of the gal, and she told me she's like yeah, she bought it new. She just drove around. This place was in San Carlos, I think. She just drove around town. It was her daily driver. That's it. She almost never left town. We just putted around town all day. That's all what it did. She's like, well, the last time we saw it was 2021, where she had it towed in. It needed it needed rear brake shoes and drums and wheel cylinders. So they did all that. It also, they're like, yeah, it had a lot wrong with it. I said, okay, well, what did your test? She's like, I got the notes here. She's like, it's hard to cold start, which is interesting because that's exactly what mine does. Like it's kind of hard to cold start. It's a little rough, and then it warms up and it runs great after that. But we found it needs like 3 of the 4 injectors. The O-ring seal to the manifold is bad.
Whatever.
The AC compressor, when you turn it on, it rattles a little bit. Whatever. The valve, the heater valve. So they're basically like so we think with the cold start issue, it's probably going to need a warm up regulator soon.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Like I was expecting to be like, oh yeah, it's going to need a new timing set and the transmission's noisy. But like she had it maintained there like literally for 20 something years. And I'm like, oh, it needs a lot wrong. And so she's like, yeah, she's like the niece or whatever. She called us when they said they were to donate it because she actually called us and asked us first if anyone at the shop wanted it. And so she's like, so I just asked the guys, we asked all the techs, like, hey, when they all knew the car, and they're like, yeah, no, not really, like, I don't want to work on a 924. And so at that point, that's when she donated it. So there's really it seems to be really low expectations for this car. I seem to think it's not, like, it's all, like, stuff that's not that big a deal.
That you probably don't even need.
Yeah, and I asked her, I was like, hey, do you know why it's got a salvage title? She's like, no. Okay. She's like, yeah, she just, little lady drove around town, that's all she does, she bought it brand new.
I mean, depending on the price point,
I know, but like there's all these little stuff, like the expectations are low, so that also works in my advantage as far as purchasing it.
Yeah.
Should I decide to purchase it, and I can come to a good dollar amount. So yeah,
like it.
Yeah, it's all interesting. So that's all the progress I've made was cool. Potentially saddling myself with yet another car that didn't work because I'm a fool. And that's kind of it. So I suppose
Another episode in the books.
If all y'all are putting up with us and have gotten this far and have continued to play around with our antics.
Sorry.
Hat tip. I'm not wearing one, but pretend I am. We are on the Instagram. That's at APA podcast. Chadwick, where are you?
Yeah, so you guys can find me at Auto Obsessive Garage on mostly YouTube, doing car rescue restoration stuff, car reviews, Instagram from time to time. And Frank, where can the good folks follow you?
You can find me on the streets and between the sheets, and you can also find me on the gram and on the YouTubes at the Photographer's Garage. That's pretty much it. So thanks for tagging along. Thanks for putting up with us.
As always,
See you next time.
take care, guys.
Toodaloo.